I might grab a bottle and get, because this is almost empty. Okay.
I think we're still waiting for a few. Oh, no, we're good. Okay. All right, well, we can start with, does anybody have any questions that they didn't submit but they would like to ask? We can start with in raised hands before we get to, oh, Heather has a question. Perfect.
I'll start us off. I have a question, and it's a little personal, but overshare. So me and Jason are working on boundaries with each other. Both of us come from families with, like, I have an alcoholic family, right? So hyper aware of everybody's emotions in the house, the child. Like, I have to make sure this person's not upset. Okay. So we either go into diffuse, where like we've been over the years, like both of us are just hyper aware. Oh, you're upset. Let me fix it. Let me help. Let me help. Let me help. Let me help. You know, forgiving way too soon, doing all the things, and now we're stepping into, okay, now we need boundaries, like, because we're kind of not allowing each other even to have feelings, because we're like, let me hurry up and fix it. So then we move into walls. Oh, you're feeling about, well, you can go over there and have those feelings, because I have boundaries, and I'm not supposed to help you with your feelings. Like, I don't do the emotional labor. So we can't find that, like, if he's upset and I still want to be his wife and like, hey, help you process through being upset, but I don't want to be like the emotional support blanket. Like, how do you find the balance with boundaries when heavy, big emotions are involved? Because we even have that with our kids, right? The kids get super, super upset. And how much as a parent are you trying to calm them down and help them process their feelings versus just have feelings when you're allowed to have feelings, even if that looks like kicking and screaming on the bathroom floor?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. A simple answer, but is asking, what do you need from me right now? They may or may not, especially kids may or may not know, but they may know. I just need you to sit here with me. Most of the time, you know, with adults, they don't want you to fix it, as you know, it's like that fix it mode, right? But oftentimes it's just be with me, or I need you to leave me alone right now, or whatever it is, right? But that's kind of a, how does that sound to you?
What if I'm not aware of what I need right in that moment?
Then that's the, so if Jason were going to ask you, what do you need, and you're not sure, I don't know, right? I'm not sure, and then he could be, okay, I'll wait. Right? Because he can't do anything if you don't know, then it is up to you to figure it out. So you might need some time to come down because you're blended with that, whatever it is that's taking over your thinking what you need, right? So you might need some space. But if he's aware, like he's going to let you be with whatever you need to be with, if you're being honest, I don't know, then okay, I can wait. How does that sound?
I like it.
I don't know if I trust my answer in the moment. So like if she asks me what do you need, like I could feel like a very gut, like
something like
I could feel like anger, or I could feel sadness, or I could feel reactionary. I'm not always sure that
like you could say something
like if she says, what do
painful.
You need?
Yeah.
And I'll be like,
I need you to shut the hell up.
No, but like
yeah.
But like I don't know, because I get dysregulated.
Yeah.
And so if I'm not regulated, sure, when I'm calm and relaxed, I can tell you exactly what I need. But if I'm like, I don't trust myself.
Okay. So that's the work with your therapist. But yes, no, but yeah. Okay, so you are dysregulated. So you are like overwhelmed with your emotions and what's going on. Do you know when that happens? Okay, so you probably need to get some space. My guess is you need if you're going to ask him something, he might come back with something that's going to be hurtful or angry or whatever, right? Okay, a wall. Okay, yeah, yeah, that's his stuff.
So I can just back away.
So
I
you
say,
can.
what do you need? Dysregulated. I could just be like.
Or you can say, do you know what you need right now? And or if but if that's going to be triggering, like if you're in that space, it's like, you know what? You could be saying, I'm just going to step away for right now. And if you can, work with your emotions, do what you need to do to calm down so that we can talk. And then maybe you can tell me what if you need some help with something, right? But that dysregulation is something is going on for you that's causing that real high intense emotion. That's your work.
Any other audience questions?
Now that the clock's
Yes.
It's regarding my mom, and she's starting with dementia, and I'm the only child, and she doesn't have any friends, so she's always asking, where are you, where are you? And she's expecting me always to be with her, and I just can't. And she's talking about, she's declining, talking about she's seeing people in the house, and I'm like, don't you see them? Are you crazy? I said, Mom, maybe you see them, but I don't. So this whole thing is just, I feel guilty.
Yeah.
And I feel pissed that I have to do this. And I feel really selfish to say, I hate to say this, but I kind of say, I wish she would just pass. She's got so much, she's got scoliosis and she's bad. And so if I say, all you do is complain, she goes,
yeah.
So just working around that. Yeah, I do need counseling. Do you counsel?
Yeah. And it also sounds like you need, and again, this isn't trying to fix it or anything, but you need more help. Because with dementia, it's like, services. But with your relationship with your mom, it's not a normal relationship. And has it been a close relationship in the past or not so much?
No.
Yeah. So if she's taken care of physically, and if that's your responsibility, then there's this caregiver depletion and all of that too. But you need to have space from her. That's how you've got to take care. The oxygen mask thing is take care of yourself so that you can show up for her in limited, if possible. Again, I don't know the whole situation, but in limited ways, because you've got to take care of yourself, and then you can show up better when you're with her. Yeah. But no, that's a hard relationship to be in, and you need support.
I wonder if there's like a group for crazy children.
We're right here.
Yes. Yeah, but that's I think just a brief answer is you've got to take care of yourself, and that's where boundaries do come in. Again, if she's taken care of, if you can get space away, even if she's saying, I need you here right now, if she's taken care of, you don't have to show up every time, right? Yeah.
There are dementia support group, Alzheimer's support group
Yeah.
in San Diego that have education, counseling, and will help you with services so that you can get a break.
Yes.
So if you go online, look up like Dementia Support San Diego. There are multiple support groups in San Diego County.
Yeah, thank you. That's, yes, exactly.
Check it out.
Okay, anybody, any other questions that we want to raise hands? Otherwise I can read I'll read the first one. Okay. The first question that was submitted says, what if two people in a relationship develop opposing boundaries? How does one reconcile this, especially when they both want to maintain the relationship?
So if they both truly want to maintain the relationship we're talking about opposing boundaries, is they're at an impasse. It's like what one person is saying the other person doesn't want to do, and what the other person, so you're at this conflict. So if they truly do want to save the relationship, they're going to need to start listening to each other and being more flexible, which that's easier said than done. They need therapy. Again, that's it. It's kind of the answer. It is. It's like going and having that, if it's a couple, and having that third party who is not biased in any way is going to help you. Where's the stuck point? What's going on here? How long has this been happening? You know, how did it occur? So those, you know, trying to do it on your own is really hard. So that's the key, is if they want to save the relationship, they're going to put the effort in and start taking their eyes off of the other person and putting it back on themselves. How am I the problem or issue? What am I doing that is causing the problem, not what are they doing?
Okay. The next question says, how do I know the difference between making excuses versus compassion and grace?
Does that mean like you're making excuses? So how do you know the difference that whether you're making excuses or being compassionate and doing something?
Yeah, I think like when someone breaks your bound or crosses your boundaries, like making excuses for them or having compassion and grace for them crossing your boundaries.
Okay. So if someone crosses a boundary and you want to have compassion or grace on them because, you know, they made a mistake or whatever. So when we're talking about setting a boundary, what we're talking about is trying to like throw a wrench in the repeated behavior. You know, if they're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again, but you want something different, you know, that's insanity. It's kind of, so there's always room for compassion and grace in relationships. If you're needing to change something in the relationship, then we're talking about holding a boundary. It's what's good for the relationship. The boundary is saying, this is what's good for me. And if we do this, it's going to be good for the relationship. So it's not like you don't have compassion or grace. You can do this in a way that is not disrespectful or mean or anything, but it's important to you that the person hears you. You have a voice. You can have it, you know, in a close relationship, you can have a talk about this. It doesn't have to be this is what, you know, but I'm wondering if that's answering the question. I want to make sure I understood it correctly. Right? We're talking about what is the purpose of setting a boundary, right? And we're holding to it. That doesn't mean you don't have compassion or grace, but if you keep giving in and it keeps happening, then why are we trying to set the boundary anyway? Right?
I think that answers the question. I didn't ask the question.
Okay.
The next one says, how do I know the difference between needing a boundary versus a muscle that needs to be stretched or growing?
Let me think of a good example. So a muscle that needs to be stretched, like I need to change myself, right? If we're asking for, so if somebody is doing something and it doesn't feel good to us, but we're trying to make it work out. I'm hearing that's kind of like stretching a muscle, doing something to make it work out. So a boundary, what is happening in a relationship where you need to set a boundary is you're feeling stressed. You're feeling like you don't have a voice. Setting the boundary is just trying to have a voice, and this is what I need. And if the other person isn't understanding it or it isn't clear, you're trying to set a boundary to be clear, then you can have a discussion about it. Stretching a muscle.
I think something that came to my mind was the example you gave earlier about if you like grew up always, because I relate to this, always being on time. So like when I meet with people, sometimes if they're running late, sometimes I take it as like, okay, I just need to be more flexible. Like it's okay, because I can be really rigid with being on time, and I know that that's not how everybody was raised, and there's also a cultural aspect to that as well. But
Yes.
that's an example that came to my mind of like, okay, am I being too rigid with my boundary of being on time, or am I needing to be stretched to be more flexible?
Yeah, that's a really good example. Yes. Okay. So for something like with that example, if so what happens when somebody consistently shows up late, but you have this value about being on time? What it can feel like is if somebody is consistently, you're meeting with someone and they always show up 15, 20 minutes late or something. It feels like your time is not being respected. You're not being valued. So the conversation is stating how you feel when they don't show up on time on a regular basis. I feel disrespected. Is it possible for you to be able to show up? Flexibility. But if you're just rigid and everybody has to show up on time and you get mad and they're not there at 5 minutes, or it happens once or twice. We all are late, even when we have these really strong time values. It's like, but if then that could call for maybe stretching a muscle, like, okay, I feel it, I'm getting frustrated, I should relax. It's only been 2 minutes, or something like that, right? It's like, I need to just kind of chill out a little bit. It's not that big a deal, or I know it is for me, but a few minutes is not a big deal. Or even somebody showing up pretty late and they say, oh man, traffic was really bad. That happens, So maybe that's the stretch the muscle, being, okay, yeah, I got frustrated, but I get it.
Okay. Last question I have here says, how to set a boundary with an emotionally explosive child. I want to communicate to them that they don't get to treat me that way, but removing myself from them feels damaging.
Yeah. So that's a pretty, there probably would be a need for more details, because why is the child emotionally explosive? Are they on the spectrum? There's it's not their fault. I mean, it's like there's something neurologically happening for them, and so you learn how to deal with that. Are they emotionally explosive because sometimes they don't know how to communicate what they need, and that explosion, like they're trying and trying and trying, and then it's boom, they're just all over the place. So that can be for younger children. For teens, older children, they're able to hear and understand, okay, you know what, this is not good. You're not leaving them alone. I mean, it's not like, I don't want to just, okay, you have to go into your room every time this happens. But I think it's just a little bit more nuanced. I'm not sure if that comes from neurodiversity or just like hormonal, or what age the child is. But yeah, I think needs to be more information. But yes, staying with the child, sitting with them. If they're doing something that's harmful, hitting, then that needs to be, okay, that's not allowed. So.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any more questions from anybody in the audience who wants to raise a hand? A brave soul, perhaps?
I'm like you at the time thing. It was like 2 minutes to 10 and I was having like a panic attack because I couldn't be here on time. So what I do with my husband, because he's habitually half hour late. So if we're going to the movies and it starts at 6, I tell him it starts at 5:30.
There you go.
A lot of manipulation, but it's working for me.
There you go. And if it works, that's good. Yeah. Yes.
I love it.
I had one question. When you were talking about expressing boundaries and just saying the boundary and leaving it, and not explaining it or anything, a person that I work with, when I explain my boundaries, I'm always questioned and like interrogated and told how they ought to be different. And it's like that, this is how I feel, this is what I want, and that it's not right, and it's just like met with this kind of disrespectful disagreement.
Yes, yes. And that's why we don't leave any room for a debate, which, I mean, they might try to get you into that. That's part of like pulling you into it. But stating the boundary, this is what I need, nothing else. They, so if they say, why, what do you do, or they trying to pull you into it. This is my boundary. This is what I need from you in order to be in this relationship.
And so do you walk away? And part of it is that person has an alcohol problem. And so there's a third person in the room.
Yes. Yeah. Again, with something like that, that is, that's their work. And unfortunately, that can become an enabling kind of relationship or gaslighting. It's your fault. You're likewise here, what sounds like they're putting it back on you. And just a quick answer is, again, I don't know if this is a friend or whatever, but is this relationship a relationship that you want to stay in? If it is, and it's going to be pretty stressful, but that's where the boundaries need to be. Like, this is where we're talking about the hard and fast boundaries without explanation. If they keep pulling you back in, you need to get some space, right? You don't answer. And it's not about trying to be mean or disrespectful, but they're trying to get you to not set the boundary. And in order for it to be a healthy relationship, the boundary needs to be there. So again, it's like if it's a relationship that is valuable to you and you want to be in, it's a hard one, but that's what you need to do. And then they need to get help for their dependence or, yeah. Yeah, good.
Related. So this idea that like, oh, you want what you want and you don't have to justify it continues to feel very foreign to me. Right? So maybe I'm like on the other side, which is there has to be a justification, there has to be a why. You can't just want what you want. Like it comes from somewhere, so therefore you must know the why, but then there's this sort of idea of the exchange of do you need to explain maybe you don't need to explain your why because you don't need to justify, because then you get this argument about merit of the why,
right?
Versus or even me, I mean, this is some sort of childhood issue on my end, but like I'll be like, well, why is that? And like I want to get into the
Yeah, and again, it depends on the relationship. So when we talk about setting a boundary, what we're doing is making it clear what that is. So part of that clarity might be initially, this is why I need this. So you set the boundary, and then oftentimes it gets violated. I mean, I don't necessarily like that word, but it's like it gets pushed, right? So the boundary gets set again, and then it's like you already know why. But if you're pushing on it, so the original setting of the boundary. I mean, the example I use is very light. It's like, thank you for the invitation, but I can't come. You don't have to say, oh, I'm so sorry I can't come. It's blah 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 blah. It's like I can't come. That's it. But something more intimate or more intricate or whatever, you can make an explanation why. But if there's pushback, if somebody's pushing back on the why, then why are they pushing back? What's the problem? If this is what the person needs and they explain, I need this because blank, 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 oh, okay. In a healthy relationship, you're going to receive it. Yes. Yes.
I'd also say to that, like, there's nothing. Don't let me overstep.
No, go right ahead, please.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with you wanting to know your own why. Because if the boundary is like, you notice like, oh, I don't like this. There's nothing wrong with like, well, why don't I like this? What about this? What is it making me feel? What is it bringing up for me? Figuring out your own why.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, you're not obligated in whatever relationship that is to provide the way or then to continue to defend it or justify it to that person. And that probably looks different depending on the relationship, because maybe what you would explain in a relationship with a coworker versus a spouse or a family member is very different. So it's also very
Perfect. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You'll do
Love
it.
that. Thank you.
Are there any? Oh, I own the back.
Kind of following up on that, I feel like you could also establish that boundary to give yourself space to time that way.
Yeah, you can. He said, I don't know if everyone heard that, but you can establish the boundary to then give yourself space to figure out the why. I like that.
Yeah.
Good job. Add on.
Yes.
Love it. Okay. Do we have any more questions? No. Okay. We don't have any more questions here. Perfect.